Good evening to you tuned into Smart 24 TV. Thank you so much for joining us at this particular time. I'm Rona Nahabwe and I'm joined by Samla Hanifa and Pedson Mumbele, where we're going to be bringing you an episode of a full field of business trends in regards to international news in the region and the community here as well. Today is a Uganda Independence Day. Uganda marked 61 years ever since independence, and we have a whole talk revolving around that, as Pedson Mumbe is going to be giving us an insight in regards to that. We also have more from trending today. We have topics coming in from tourism. We also saw stories of Capital Kitchen. We have stories coming in from UMA. The last week we were at UMA Showgrounds, where we interacted with ERA and we interacted with PPDA. And we have more and more in the product profile as the show goes on. Thank you so much for having joined us, and I'm going to give the opportunity to my co-hosts to just give us a glimpse of what we should expect in this episode of Business Today. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Rona. Good evening, viewers. Samla Hanifa here, and I'm going to bring for you what has been happening in Capital Chicken saga and so on, and in the tourism sector. We all know what has been happening there. It is not so good. Many Ugandans are crying out. Their money is lost, and we all saw what is happening in the tourism sector with the gorilla permits and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, so what is trending in it is a Ponzi scheme like other Ponzi schemes that have been happening around?
Ponzi schemes have been happening for quite some time, and Ugandans have been cheated. But I don't know, we don't listen, or
we just lack, we don't have money. So that's the problem of poverty. That's why we're having all those problems. But now, my name is Pedison Mumbe. Like I was introduced, we're going to look at very many stories, including stories of independence. Today we've been celebrating our independence. We're marking 61 years, you see, independence. You see, we got our independence in 1962, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you what has been happening. I'll give you a little bit of the history that happened before. How was the economic transition? How we economically transitioned since we got independence. We've been dominated by Asians and British people. Yeah. All the businesses here were dominated by those people. So Ugandans were set behind. They were not involved in grateful businesses in that area ever before independence. So after us getting independence, people came with a lot of expectations, thinking that it is their time now. So most of the Ugandans thought it is their time to also engage in businesses apart from the Asians and the British people. So that's what I'll be bringing to your attention.
Definitely. It's going to be bringing you that and more in regards to what we need to know as of today, 9th of October 2023, where we have celebrated 61 years ever since independence. Now, the country's economy has seen many changes during this time, affected by periods of political instability, civil wars. We have seen, more climate change, especially the biggest talk that has been really happening. And then we have also seen various economic reforms. We should be able to know that in the next year, that is 2025, after 2026 general elections, and what really comes with that. So there is really so much we need to talk about, where we've come from and where we're going. And of course, as all these things have really been realized as an economy, trends in the recent years are positive. And so although there are some key challenges that still remain, Pedson Mumbele came up with a data portfolio or a report on what has happened or what highlighted the years ever since we got to independence. Economic trends, at least for the biggest part and East African community, at least we know that Kenya kind of have similar, governance, where they have parliament and the same, but economies like Kenya still beat us in regards to infrastructure. That is quite, interesting. So 61 years, we are celebrating, but what are we celebrating? Pedson?
Yeah, we have, of course, we have gone a step, much as like you said, you're still recording some challenges. But at least if you look around before independence, you know what, let me first give you a little bit of a small history about this. On Tuesday 9th, 1962, Ugandans from all walks of life, regardless of tribe, color, whatever, where they come from, jubilated when the Union Jack came down and then the Uganda flag was raised. Ugandans had a lot of expectations out of that. Remember, like I said, all the businesses, all the shops on the streets of Kampala were dominated by Asians and the British. So when the Uganda flag was raised, every Ugandan thought it's their time also to engage in businesses. You get? They thought they would own these shops. Most of them even didn't know how to run them. But if you look at since independence up to date, at least we have gone a step.
I think the biggest highlight for me
economically,
was when Idi Amin was president and then he threw away and chased away all the Indians. That is the historical, you know, something that I can never forget in regards to behind, because I really know what that meant, especially in business community.
But you know, during that time when Idi Amin, of course,
it was 1971. 1971 when Idi Amin chased all the Asians.
He did not plan the Ugandans to take care of these, like to take care of these businesses that had been left by the Asians. So still our economy crumbled in that regard, because Ugandans were not used to the business. They did not know the business ideas like the Indians did. That is why when they came back during the current president's regime, President Yoweri Museveni, these guys took over their businesses. Ugandans had no. Look at their businesses now, still being run by Asians. Still, Ugandans. I don't know. We need to. I don't know what we should do to learn the business perspectives, just like these guys, these other foreigners. That these foreigners have taken over our country. I see it's still happening now.
But are we recording some?
We are.
We are recording. At least you can see, if you look at, you see, from that, then agriculture, value chain dominated the whole thing. We started recording some coffee exports. Remember? So I have some data here that during the period Ugandan economy expressed economic transition. So in the same share of agricultural value chain, the GDP declined from 56% in 1990 to 24%. You get it? So in 2015, the share of industry grew by 11% to GDP, and the share services also went to 33 or 32%. Since then, up to date, the exports are increasing. At least we're exporting to other outside countries. That we have recorded that. Much as we are still having some loopholes somewhere, political, others are political, but at least we have gone a step. Let me tell you a story. Before independence, my judge told me that they used to die of these measles. I don't know how you call it in your own local language. Measles. They would die. But this time, you people are very many. You're no longer dying. You can call that you can call that development, of course, because there's a population now. There's population that can do business. There is population that can pay taxes. You get? So that's of course that's GDP growth. Now that means we are growing. We are growing. If you go into health sector, people used to die of measles, polio, whatever, all those things. So I can't sit here and say that ever since we got independence up to date, we have not recorded some growth. At least there is some growth. I don't want to sound a little bit of political and something, but at least I'm trying to be factual.
You're giving them their flowers. But in regards to that, Pedson, what has been, in regards to today's speech from the president, what really stood out for you from what he said? I mean, usually his speeches, he takes us back to 1962s. What did you highlight?
You see, the theme of that thing was sustaining a united and progressive nation. So when the president was talking to the masses, that of course it was celebrated in Kitgum district. The president talked about societal prosperity. You get? He also talked about wealth creation. You get? So, of course, when the president is talking, you know all what he always talk about: healthy creation, prosperity, HVALO, everything. PDM. So he talked all about those things. But what I looked at the societal prosperity. Now, I looked at myself, I was like, now, if the president is talking about the prosperity of the society, the thing is now how? How should we take the words he's telling us serious? You get? We have a problem of infrastructure. I can't take away that. The society cannot grow when we still have problems in regard to infrastructures. If you go to the mountainous areas, there are no roads.
Yeah.
There's no power. Power is on and off. You get
Exactly.
people who start their small businesses, especially in the villages, they're not prospering. Why? Because power is on and off.
Yeah.
Saloons, people who are doing saloons, power is on and off. So that's the biggest problem now.
Yeah.
I think this is what the government should look at as we are growing, as we're going.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
At least I would like to commend the government. I recently saw a big graduation, I think last week, where thousands of youths, graduated and they were in skilling.
Skilling.
And I appreciate the fact that, of course, there's a lot, the rate of unemployment is still surging, it's still above, and the Minister of Labour has promised that it is going to come down from 5%, which is quite ironic for the statistics that we see. But I appreciate the fact that the President has taken the mantle to skill.
Yeah.
Skills that you cannot attain in class or lecture rooms.
Yeah,
at least we are anticipating a bigger rate of job creation from that. Yeah, but aside from independence, we would like to move on to what is trending today. And last week, the biggest news that we had was Capital Kitchen, Ponzi schemes. People have been scammed. And so then we would like to know from Hanifa herself, who covered this story, as thousands of unsuspecting Ugandans are facing significant financial losses as a result of their investments in Capital Kitchen Investment Company, which abruptly ceased operations after a mere 2-year period. This company enticed individuals to invest amounts of ranging from 1 million shillings and upwards, which also permitted group of investments where resources could be pooled. We also know that investors were promised monthly profits equivalent to 15% of their total investment. That's quite, a sum, only to be left empty-handed when the company abruptly closed, its door. We have a clip in regards to this, and we're going to give you analysis once this has played.
It's not quite fair to fault someone for wanting to join investment opportunities with the promise of substantial returns. However, it is disheartening to see that many Ugandans fall victim to fraudulent investment schemes, with the regulatory bodies in place which are mandated to protect Ugandans from such scams. The question is, who should shoulder the blame?
National Intelligence Authority and the entire infrastructure that spies on the health of our economy. First of all, they need to be proactive. And they need to know their first mandate is to prevent the occurrence of fraud. Now, it is a failure for them on their part to make an intervention long after the people have lost quite billions of shillings. They are supposed to do a due diligence on all companies that want to invest here, ensure that their profile, look at their records, and give them a bill of health in clearance, especially those that are foreign. Therefore, first of all, we start from that point. When did they do their bidding? Long after a lot of people had lost their wealth. So that's a failure on their part, because their first mandate is to detect. They're like police, to detect and prevent the occurrence of a crime, of a fraud. So you are speaking about agencies that are failing on their core duty.
First of all, it's a big challenge and it's a big problem. We have complained once many times about tax waivers, tax incentives, and tax holidays. These companies come and get tax holidays and tax incentives for maybe a period of 5 years. Then after 5 years, they close and go when they have not paid any tax. The ideal situation would have been that when these companies come, they make a contract with the government. And in the contract, they put certain conditions. To be given a tax holiday or a tax waiver, you must produce something, and you produce it at a cheaper price.
And so then, Hanifa, you should give us details for that report.
No, you've heard from the legislators. They are blaming them, the regulatory bodies. We have Financial Intelligence Authority, we have Capital Markets Authority, we have Uganda Investment Authority. We have so many. There are so many regulatory bodies. You can name them. These regulatory bodies are there to protect Ugandans from such scams.
Are they doing their job very well? Because this is not the first time you're hearing about these Ponzi schemes coming to Uganda, and then they scam Ugandans, take a lot of money. So that means the regulatory bodies are not doing their work
quite
very
a lot
well.
of money for an individual to just invest more than 1 million. An individual, imagine how many they could have scammed.
Exactly.
That's a lot of money for to just go away like that.
These people are facilitated by government. Government gives them money, protect Ugandans from such, protect Ugandans' money, and then after 2 years, this company Capital Chicken has gone away with over 2 billion Ugandan shillings. So many people, even security. I've heard of a security personnel who has lost over 300 something million. It is quite absurd.
So it was not registered, right?
I don't know.
Or they work online. There are those that work online, and those ones are very complicated to trace.
They convince you that they are registered when in the reality they are not, which is quite absurd.
Nevertheless, certain lawmakers have issued a warning to public, advising them not to readily embrace any opportunity they encounter in their pursuit of quick wealth, as it precisely this eagerness that the Ponzi schemes exploit their advantage. We have more of this.
Do not distinguish between business, investment, gambling, and speculation. You know, someone comes with a very lucrative proposal in form of a scheme, and people get carried away without understanding that a business, to give you a return, you have to work for it, and it takes time. So when someone comes and promises that you are going to earn this if you invest this, I think Ugandans need to interrogate that kind of proposal and look at the risks involved. Because when you are doing an investment, you must look at the risk, the return, and the payback period. You know, how much money you are putting in, how long will it take for you to recover it, and what will be your profit. It is very simple. But for someone to say you are putting in and you are going to get 70% interest in such a short time, that is not business. It is gambling, it is speculation, and Ugandans need to avoid it.
Such an organization like Capital Chicken cons Ugandans. It is not the first time. We have been through that for a long period. Recently, there was Bitcoin. People were convinced to invest money, but they never really found returns. So, Ugandans must know that it is very important to have a business plan when you are starting your own business. When you do not have a business plan, someone else comes and starts convincing you that something can do better. Then you end up now taking that side because you did not have a business plan. A business plan does not have to be on a piece of paper, because some people don't know how to write, and they don't know how to write a business plan. Even if you have it in mind and you get committed to your business plan, in that case you will avoid such companies that con Ugandans. Secondly, we need to come out as government, and whichever company will do such a thing, people behind that company must be arrested, must be brought to book, so that all Ugandans, all investors know that money belonging to Ugandans must be protected. Otherwise, let's wake up, Ugandans, have our own business plans, and follow them to the dot.
The following are prevalent scam types, and it's crucial to understand how they operate. Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes are a prevalent form of investment fraud designed to deceive individuals with the promise of substantial returns while downplaying or eliminating risks. These schemes typically create the illusion of a legitimate investment opportunity. The individuals behind the scheme solicit funds from you, ostensibly to invest in a business venture, and assure you of periodic high returns on your investment. High-yield investment programs. These are investment scams that offer exceptionally high returns while minimizing or concealing risks. It is important to be aware that these schemes are operated by unlicensed individuals who engage in fraudulent activities. Forex scams. In the realm of forex scams, fraudulent individuals often present themselves as online forex experts, claiming to possess foolproof strategies for trading that can supposedly catapult you to overnight wealth. Often the fraudulent broker will demand additional deposits as a prerequisite for withdrawal. Even if you comply by depositing more funds, your attempts to withdraw may remain futile, and eventually you find yourself either blocked or met with unresponsiveness from them.
All right, thank you, Hanifa, for that report, of course. And Pedison pretty much has...
I was following it too, and I felt like people should know, even should know why and when they should go in for these things. I know capital market, that capital whatever thing, scheme. It was around Kanjuche there in Tinda. And now sources say that a retired security officer invested over 380 million shillings, while another retired civil servant invested 420 million shillings in that Ponzi scheme. So you can imagine all that money, and these are not the only ones. Other people also putting in that money, and so you can imagine all that money, including other people's money, has gone outside.
You cannot just close. People have invested money.
But I'm pretty much sure that the government should really take the deliberate effort in regards to getting these scammers, because this is a lot of money for individuals, and the regulators should do their work, especially when such people, such investment bodies just come in the country. They should, carry out a thorough check to be sure that these people are fit, to the dot, to be sure that these people are fit to invest. You should even give us your work plan at least. How many did they even have? Had they even spent 5 years in the country?
No, 2 years.
They're just 2 years. And also BLQ also ran with 6 billion. Remember?
Yeah.
Just currently here, recently here. So that money also, it was an online gaming Ponzi scheme.
So who is fighting for Ugandans who invest in such?
So we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do in regard to that.
But last week, still in our segment of trading today, there was a lot coming in from the tourism sector. Tourism sector has always, seen as a beautiful one. At least we have seen the trending Uganda Explore, where we have seen Ministry of Tourism take thousands of individuals to different, parts of the country to explore and, put our flag out there as a country. But last week wasn't really good for them. At least I saw some tabloids that have to do with embezzlement of funds, at least from Uganda Wildlife Authority. But this one here kind of shows that in contrast with global pandemics like COVID-19, Uganda's tourism industry is still facing a distinct and concerning issue. Ongoing problems related to fraudulent gorilla permits. Now, need I remind you that our gorillas are our biggest, gorillas and chimpanzees, they are our biggest tourist attraction. So this is really painful to listen to. Fraudulent gorilla permits and revenue diversion is casting doubts on Uganda tourism authenticity. This situation has the potential to negatively impact Uganda's economy, given that the nature of tourism is one of the country's primary sources of foreign exchange, which is completely true. Now, Bronya Katsime kind of gave us a detail in regards to this report, and we would like to watch it.
A troubling pattern emerged when tourists arrived at national parks presenting permits that appeared genuine but were in reality counterfeits generated by Uganda Wildlife Authority staff. This could negatively impact the nation's economy, given that nature tourism brings in an impressive 6.6 trillion shillings annually and provides employment for millions of young people. Additionally, certain tour operators were discovered to be colluding with our staff in these illicit activities, including gorilla permit fraud and diversion of revenue.
We picked up information on fraud here and there. We've had some of our staff disciplined over the years whenever there was a fraud. This particular one, we picked up information, and I'll relate to somebody who asked about two operators who brought the matter to us a year ago. They did bring the matter to us. We asked them to work with us in snaring the fraudsters, and unfortunately they did not help. You see, it is one thing to tell me I have a thief in my compound, it's another to help me with the details that will enable me to arrest, identify and arrest.
According to Herbert Byarhanga, president of OTO, in response to these suspicions, the Association of Uganda Tour Operators, representing more than 320 members, has taken a stance as it strongly condemns the sale of these permits on the black market, recognizing the severe damage it is to inflict on the reputation of Uganda's tourism sector.
It has come to our attention that in the ongoing investigations regarding gorilla permits fraud and the revenue diversion by Uganda Wildlife Authority, some tour operators have been found to be conniving with Uganda Wildlife Authority staff in this vice. These operators have been named in some of the media reports about the matter. While we are yet to get an official position from Uganda Wildlife Authority, OTO has engaged some of our members who were mentioned in the said media stories, and some of them are here, who have all denied ever having bought the impugnated tickets or tracked gorillas on the said dates and or tracked the said gorilla groups. It is possible that the fraud racket within the Uganda Wildlife Authority has been using the names of the legitimate companies to buy the tampered with tickets and thereafter selling them to their accomplices on the black market. Preliminary investigations also show that most of the mentioned companies are not OTO members.
Within Uganda Wildlife Authority, internal controls and monitoring systems unveiled irregularities within the gorilla permit booking system. These irregularities raised significant concerns about legitimacy of specific transactions and the overall integrity of the booking process.
2014, there was a system that was said to be cashless, but actually you would have to come and pay cash at the office, and then we give you a card that takes you to the field, and then you use it in the field for the different activities you do. So it was called cashless, but the issue was that you just left the cash in our office. In 2017, before I even joined the UA, that system had developed problems. And the management then was in the process of doing an upgrade. And that upgrade didn't take place. When I joined in 2018, it hadn't happened. We engaged the Mauritius company that supplied the system, and they told us that the way the system was developed, it cannot be upgraded. We needed an entirely new system. And when we started discussing on how that would go, it proved to be extremely expensive, and we unfortunately had to abandon it.
It is imperative that all stakeholders unite and work together to overcome these obstacles and continue building our nation's economy with its potential to thrive as a beacon of authenticity and wonder.
Those hard facts were missing until now. Now we have them. Now we have no reason not to take action. To what extent will this damage the inflow of tourists in the country? That is a question I have no idea about. But it's important how you and I address the matter. And I think that the media has done an excellent job in throwing all the darts in the public, including.
Now, in the same aspect, the tourism woes have continued to skyrocket as legislators representing the Kisoro region, where the national park housing these gorillas is located, have voiced their discontent with government's lack of support for the tourism sector, which significantly contributes to the economy. They highlight the fact that foreign tourists are charged $700 for gorilla tracking, in addition to a $40 entrance fee to the national park. It is disheartening to observe that the absence of proper roads and the deteriorating condition of existing ones, to the fact that some tourists opt Rwandan routes to reach Bwindi National Park, which is quite, perplexing, I would say. Imagine you have the biggest and the most beautiful gorillas, but tourists can't even access them because of the poor roads. I thought Kampala is the only one that has, whose roads are in a sorry state.
It's not only Kampala. Even if you go to other villages.
And they are paying.
The roads are not in a good state. Most of them have potholes.
What I don't understand is that the tourism itself brings in money. Why doesn't that money make roads?
Especially to those especially to those areas where those gorillas are, at least. These tourists, can you imagine, after paying all that much, they are paying $700.
Imagine there is a runway.
$700 for gorilla trekking. Just
that's a lot of money that can construct
gorilla trekking.
Better roads. Just imagine in Kisoro,
and the fee?
There is a runway that has potholes. A plane to land on a potholed runway, that is catastrophic. An accident can happen at any one moment.
And guess what? The PSST has just given billions of money to UNRWA to construct roads. So at least let's see at the fall of the next financial year, if we shall see a different story from Kisoro in regards to this tourism sector, because this is a sorry state, and it's disheartening to read. But we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with corporate/company news. We're going to bring you stories in regards to what happened at UMA, especially in regards to what the manufacturers raised to the UMA Association in regards to helping them reduce the cost of production. We still have more in regards to UMA and PPDA. Please stick around, we have more.
Smart 24, driving business.
Pay or shop with MTN Momo and get cashback every week. It's free of charge.
Tuli gulu site tujja kutuuka buli wamu gobosaga.
Tuze kulaba ba merchants bafaba ab'omugaso ennyo gye tuli abakozesa merchant codes zaffe.
I'm very excited right now.
Very excited.
Yes, you people can't see, but I'm very excited.
Kakati wano eggulu tulinawo merchant waffe omu wa Paula restaurant.
When I heard of this promotion, I didn't even think it was true. But I told my clients, if you have Momo, it's better you pay with Momo.
In the morning, I was so scared, but now my temperature is coming down because I've seen you people when you came home. I'm encouraging people, always when there's opportunity for something, participate.
Si byabagagga era abantu baffe betuwadde epikipiki nga-13 eziise bantu baffe ba bulijjo era munnayuganda amanye nti kino ekintu kyaffe ffenna.
Use the Momo app or dial *165*3#.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Oh, that's wonderful! And that is what champions do! It's Football Madness with GOTV Season Eno. It's battle after battle on GOTV. All the Premier League and Serie A games, La Liga and UEFA competitions, the biggest football competitions in the world, live. Get your Go code up for 39,000 shillings that comes with a full month on GoTV Plus to enjoy the football madness. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Smart 24, driving business.
Thank you so much. If you're still tuned in to Smart 24 TV, you're in for the second segment, which is corporate news stroke company news. Now, last week and still ongoing is the UMA International Trade Fair, where the Uganda Manufacturers Association, has hosted a number of government entities to try and liaise and help manufacturers have a lower cost of production. Now, in the same light, in February earlier this year, the government informed manufacturers that a gradual reduction in electricity access costs to 5 US cents per kilowatt hour would occur, but not, of course, just like that. It wouldn't occur just like that because it would, cause potential shortfalls. So the Energy Minister, Honorable Ruth Nankabira, following a directive from the President himself aimed at boosting electricity usage in manufacturing, promised that the supply of electricity would come to 5 US cents. But she also emphasized the need for a phased approach to prevent, potential shortfalls. Now, on October 6th, that's Friday last week, at UMA International Trade Fair, the ED of the Electricity Regulatory Authority spoke to us and mentioned that she has announced, or they have come to a progressive, tariff for the manufacturers, which is 5.7 US cents per kilowatt hour, occurring at the shoulder hours. Shoulder hours are from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., implying that manufacturers are going to be utilizing electricity at a charge of 5.7 US cents per kilowatt hour. I think this is a good move for...
I want to know how it is going to help the manufacturers to access affordable energy if all those programs are being put on the table. So how are the manufacturers going? How is it going to help those guys in the manufacturing sector to access affordable energy or power?
Well, in regards to that, especially for the part of Electricity Regulatory Authority, there is a certain tariff like that they're going to put in regards to those statistics.
Okay.
There is off-peak, peak, shoulder hours, and street lighting, which takes times when there is not really so much production. So manufacturers have petitioned to government on several occasions that they want a lower cost of production, not just electricity alone, by the way, also the cost of raw materials, the cost of imports, competition from imports, power outages. So I think the UMA International Trade Fair has posed as a gateway, as an opportunity for government entities to show their deliberate, action in regards to helping them reduce the cost of production. And I like this because I was part of the people that attended the promise or the declaration where Honorable Ruth Nankabira was hosted at UMA, and she made that declaration. She made it very open that she will not give them 5 US cents flat, but at least she would give them something that is closer to 5, yeah, which is 5.7. I think manufacturers should really stop crying and utilize this.
But I think that's okay. That's okay.
But leaving alone the manufacturers themselves, something that I keep asking myself, and even every other Uganda produces a lot of electricity, but there are parts of the country that don't have electricity, and this is something that they have asked the Ministry of Energy over and over to come and explain to Parliament.
Now, let me just chip in.
Although
we are just going into another different conversation, but let me just chip in a little, because I have some knowledge on the sector. I've covered it for some time. There are 3 stages. There is generation, transmission, and selling. Transmission. So where we lack as a country is transmission. There is a lot of infrastructure and investment we need to transmit electricity, which we do not have. Actually, you would even be surprised if you hear that we're selling power to Kenya or Rwanda, and yet we don't have power here. In her response, or in her defense, the Minister of Energy, Honorable Nankabira, she tells us that we are trying to make money so that they can construct more transmission lines, which, by the way, Ugandans continuously vandalize, so that they can make the rural communities access.
The cost of vandalizing, the cost of vandalizing this power is much bigger, and it's also part of the things that is hindering.
It is. I understand. But then, when you ask people who have gone to check out this vandalism and whatever, no sane ordinary person can do that.
Anyway, let's just look at in the same vein, the Uganda power regulator ERA has also decided to keep power tariffs unchanged because, last week they announced the tariffs for the last quarter ahead of the festive season. They have decided not to change them ahead of the festive season. And in our interview with the corporate affairs manager, he explained that this decision was made because of a slight increase in electricity demand for the previous quarter. I think if our producer could just relay some of the statistics to show you how the tariffs, especially for certain times, have remained the same, so that Ugandans can enjoy the same electricity ahead of the festive season compared to what we have been having in the last quarters. And of course, this is also inclined as a purpose of, or it is also because there is a slight increase in electricity uptake, especially for the last quarter. But at UMA again, and in regards to this, the UMA comprising, Uganda Manufacturers Association comprising of over 1,221, I beg your pardon, manufacturers, has persistently called on government to prioritize local content within the procurement process due to a significant portion of government's budget being allocated to procurement. In response, the ED of PPDA, Benson Tulanye, has encouraged Uganda's manufacturers to consider the necessity of implementing a comprehensive supply chain to bolster the manufacturing sector. So this was a conversation that was held on the same day, and the PPDA leadership told UMA under the manufacturers association to tell these manufacturers before they cry that they're not being prioritized as local manufacturers, they should first streamline their supply chain system so that they can benefit from the sector. We have details.
The cost of power and raising the uptake of power by industries. We have mapped out the framework we shall use to increase power consumption by industries, and those which in turn will bring down the cost of power. We have discussed the independent suppliers to the electricity grid, the power generators, the transmission, how we can work with the ELA, Umembe, and the others that can now increase the participation of private sector in the power system. We have also discussed with the leadership of the PPDA on how they can prioritize local manufacturing, local content in the procurement, especially for projects and the government institutions, and how we can level up the standard to be able to compete even in bids that normally preserve of international bidders.
Well, that's pretty much it, what we were able to gather for you last week at the UMA International Trade Fair. We should be able to get more details in regards to what's happening tomorrow as they close. Now, last week, the Ministry of Finance released the Q2 expenditure limits, and as it released it allocated an additional of 9.19 trillion in the second quarter of the financial year 2023-2024 budget, compared to the 4.8 trillion shillings that was released in the first quarter. This decision takes into account factors like inflation, the need to kickstart capital development projects, clearing domestic arrears, and timely disbursement of funds to local governments, particularly for World Bank's projects. Remember what happened with World Bank? So the Ministry of Finance has hurried to release funds for the USMID and the UGIFT projects. You know what USMID is? I think I'm going to give you a deeper explanation. But sanctions have been imposed on local governments that delay funds claims and also delay to release funds to the respective parties, as districts are urged to release PDM money by end of this month. Now, we really do have details in regards to this, but I think we're going to cut it a little bit in the interest of time, and I think our producer should be able to play something as we explain in detail.
And also private sector to get more involved in the economy, including the PDM, Myoga, the Small Business Recovery Fund, among others. All of these efforts have led to higher output in agriculture, in services, and industry sector. With the continued effective implementation of government programs and private sector recovery, the economy is expected to expand or to grow by 6% this financial year, 2023-24. So by June 2024, we expect the economy of Uganda to have expanded by projects of UGIFT and USMID. So this time, we are reverting the money in Q2. And I hope this is the last revert I will make, so that we can be able to facilitate the local governments to implement projects in a timely manner. So in line with the above considerations, a total of 9.195 trillion shillings, which is Government of Uganda funding, excluding debt, external financing, and local revenue, has been released for the second quarter of this financial year. And below are the highlights of this 9.19 trillion, which we have released. Where has it gone? Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has been given a total of 253 billion to ensure that we get more electricity and other activities they carry out. Ministry of Water and Environment has got a total of 201 billion shillings to ensure that we get safe water and also our environment is preserved. Ministry of Works and Transport has been given a total of 124.3 billion shillings, of which the meter gauge railway rehabilitation will take 41 billion. But also the activities of the standard gauge are ongoing.
Maybe to just give you a glimpse of analysis of what is entailed in this quarter release and expenditure limits. We do know that money has been set for PDM, a big chunk of money, and of course the PSST has also given a strong warning for districts that have not fully utilized and sent out the money. He acknowledged districts like Chiboga, Kisoro, Barara, Kwania, and the like for sending in money to the respective communities to receive this PDM. Remember, this is an asset, what they really champion as a tool to economic prosperity. Especially
if the money has been released to some of the districts, why not be disbursed then to the people who are going to use the money? They're just holding the money from the district.
You're from Kasese. Have your people received?
I'm from Kasese, yes. I'm from Kasese, yes. But some people also crying. They said they haven't seen that money. And yet they were told all the requirements, they were put all the requirements to the district level, but they have not received the money. Why this money is being held at the district head offices and staff? Perhaps they are not organized in their respective circles. But also there are some circles which are not ready to receive this money because they're still disorganized. They don't have
in charge are supposed to asking for facilitation. Facilitation money. You have to facilitate me to work on this paper, most of the people
bureaucracies are everywhere.
Yeah.
And then our PDM aside, maybe I should just give you a breakdown on what is going to what, especially to the ministries.
Okay.
The Ministry of Energy has received 253 billion shillings, of which a big portion of it is for electricity. The Ministry of Water has received 201 billion shillings, of which a big portion, of it is meant to cater for safe water. 124 billion shillings has been sent to Ministry of Works, and 41 billion shillings is meant to cater for the meter gauge relay. He also mentioned that the standard gauge relay is in progress. I hope we shall see details to that. And then 421, I want emphasis on this, 421 billion shillings has been released to UNRWA for new roads.
For new roads, eh? That's what we've been talking about. Eh? I want to see that money working. Watch, I want to see that money working. So as we move long distances, let me tell you, as we move long distances from Kampala to the west of the, watch, roads are not okay.
Even here, I mean, it's every day.
It is the political roads that are worked on first here in Uganda.
Anyway, all these,
and then the business roads
and
are
if
left.
you pass via Mubende, Mitiana, there's some part where
the business roads are not worked on earlier. That is
so
disheartening.
you said this how much?
421
billion or million?
Billion.
Yeah, that's good money, at least. But I've realized when I was coming right from Bwera, coming back to Kampala, if you go to that Bwera heading to Mpondwe, they are now using Maram, this Maram thing, to kuzibikira those potholes. You see, now is this the best way of doing this thing?
Now listen to this. Also, 21 billion shillings has been given to the national airline, aka the Uganda Airlines. And we have seen how tourists have bashed our airline. So we are hoping that the next financial year, at least by the fall of the next financial year, that is expected to grow by 6%, that where the economy is expected to grow by 6%, we should be able to see this money materialize at the Uganda Airlines. Same thing with the National Council for Sports that has received 15 billion shillings. The same thing. We have seen what has been happening at the Nachivo Stadium. I think that is where the money is supposed to be coming in from. Although the funding is private, but let's see some money that is going to the Uganda Netball, Association. They did really well last time. So the National Council of Sports
to revamp the Nachivugo. Is it
no. That one was private. It was a private investment. But we have had people, coaches come online. They are not being paid. The players are not facilitated. This is the money that is supposed to do this.
Let's wait and see.
Yeah.
That money is going to be.
There is really so much. At least the PSSC also inclined that by the fall of the next financial year, the economy or the state of the economy will have grown by 6%.
By 6% this financial year.
2020.
That's what they say.
Yes,
this financial year. That the economy is going to grow by 6% this financial year.
Yes, 2023.
So is it because of that money that he has allocated to different departments and whatever?
And I think also the physical consolidation strategy and them being able to manage inflation. But of course, we are going to see more of that because we also have footage or a report from the monetary policy statement who were there also last week. And the Bank of Uganda has decided to maintain the central banking rate at 9.5% despite further drops in inflation rates in the month of September. The Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, Michael Atigi Ego, says in the current policy statement committee's assessment that inflation will continue decelerating and coverage to the target of 5% by the end of 2023. I mean, Pedson, you have details.
Yes, the story is there. I think our producer is going to play it for us. But I think we just first have the story, then we can come in and then summarize and then we get out of here.
I think
in a strategic move to stabilize the country's economic condition, Uganda's central bank has opted to maintain the central bank rate, that's CBR, at 9.5% despite a further decline in inflation rates recorded in the month of September this year. The CBR is meant to regulate the cost of money, influencing commercial bank interest and consequently steering inflation by managing the money flow within the economy.
Supporting economic stability to encourage saving, investment, economic growth, competitiveness, and socio-economic transformation. Therefore, the MPC decided to maintain the CBR at 9.5%. The bands on the CBR have been maintained at plus/minus 2 percentage points, and the margins on the CBR for the rate discount and the bank rates at 3 and 4 percentage points respectively.
The country's annual headline inflation rate expressed a notable drop from 3.5% in August to 2.7% in September. Simultaneously, core inflation, excluding food and energy, declined from 3.3% to 2.4%, marking its lowest point in 22 months.
Annual headline and core inflation dropped to 2.7 and 2.4% in September 2023 from 4.9% and 4.8% in August 2023 respectively. The inflation outlook has changed from the August 2023 forecast round. Now we have the downward trend in inflation is predicted to continue in the coming months due to lower imported inflation, further easing of food crop prices, and subdued aggregate demand, but will return to target in the medium term.
The Bank of Uganda Acting Governor Michael Ating-Ego acknowledges that while inflation has been brought under control, certain risks still persist. Potential poor agricultural output leading to elevated food prices, spikes in interest rates, and soaring global commodity prices are among the concerns. Ating-Ego attributes the low inflation to reduced public spending impacting the overall economy. He said that the downward trend in inflation is anticipated to persist due to lower imported inflation, decreased food prices, and subdued public demand for goods and services. However, there is a likelihood to an upturn reaching 4 to 5% levels by the end of next year. Pedson Mumbere.
Pedson, I believe you have details
Yeah,
on this.
that's right. Yeah. That's, of course, some people don't know what CBR means. Central bank rate, of course, it controls the flow of money and also controlling the inflation gaps in the country. You get, and it also determines the interest rates that the commercial banks are going to lend on. You get. So every time the CBR is maintained at that level, it also gives the central bank, I mean the commercial banks, the interest rates that they're going to give, they're going to lend on to the people who are going to start up their own businesses. So maintaining it at that level, yes, it is high, but I think we can go by that. We can go by that. And every commercial bank should follow that because they determine the central bank rate to have the interest rates.
We will definitely be bringing you more details in regards to that, especially for other financial institutions that kind of want to use a different interest rate compared to what has been given to them by the central bank. But in our last segment tonight of our product profile, I interacted with one Delight Fako from Ghana at the UMA International Trade Fair, and she's going to share with us how the experience has been, especially for us, a person who has moved in most of the trade fairs across Africa. Take a look.
I'm here at the UMA showground, showing nice, beautiful things from Ghana. We have beautiful African clothes, we have shirts, we have fabrics, we have scarves, and we have anything of if it comes to dressing. We even have shoes, open shoes, leather sandals, leather slippers for men and women. We are situated in Ghana, the headquarters is in Ghana, and you can get us on WhatsApp on +233 244 376721. You can get us on email, delfork@yahoo.com. Yes, we are inviting everybody at home now. This UMA show is going on right now, live. We are here waiting for you. We have few days to run up. So please come, please come. We have a lot of products from many countries. Come and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Well, that's pretty much it what we had for you today on our show of business today, ranging from the CEO's Insight, trending today, corporate news, and then the last one that you just watched, the product profile. We had a lot in store from in regards to that as we started kicked it off with what's new, 61 years of independence, and then we headed over to what happened at UMA. We looked at the ministerial, policy statement from Bank of Uganda, the quarter 2 release of Ministry of Finance, and more great, conversations are yet to come from this show. I just want to urge you, implore you to always kick it or just tune it in on Smart 24 TV around this time on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll be joined with Pedson Mumbele and Samla Hanifa for the rest of the week. Thank you so much, and I think it has been quite a good show for me, at least.
Quite a good show. So we're going to start collecting more content, more news. So we'll be bringing more for these people to watch.
All you need to know in regards to business trends internationally, regionally, and here in your community. Just click or tune in at around 6 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and follow us on our social media platforms. It's Twitter to be specific, to be able to get to know what's new in regards to the world of business. Good evening, I'm Rana Habwe.